results for Twitter. Surprised me this, actually, to hear this.
Yeah, the company reported a loss of $645 million dollars for last year. Most of that, $511 million of it, in fact, incurred in the last 3 months of 2013. This, of course, after the company launched on the stock exchange in November. What's worrying investors the most, though, in these results is that the number of people joining Twitter, the rate of growth, is slowing down for the company. Shares in after-hours trading plunged by more than 10%. Charlotte Hawkins has more.
Fewer new users, and they're checking their feeds less often. The rate of people joining Twitter fell to less than 4% over the last 3 months of 2013, the slowest rise on record. And the Twitterati are becoming less active, checking the service less often for new tweets. On top of the company's loss of $645 million last year, these figures have dimmed hopes the social network can sustain its rapid pace of expansion. Rival Facebook has 5 times more users than Twitter and managed to turn a profit of $1.5 billion last year. But Twitter's share price has often been higher. Before posting its results yesterday, it closed nearly $4 higher than Facebook.
Now that we have their first quarterly report as a public company, we think that people are going to dig into those a little bit more and start asking questions about whether Twitter has deserved the level of valuation that they've garnered over the last couple of months.
But it's not all bad news. Twitter's managed to double its revenue by boosting earnings from advertising. By placing adverts inside users' timelines, the company said it made almost $1.50 for every 1,000 timeline views. That's an increase of 76% from the previous year.
Just going to go to some news coming in from Japan regarding the electronics company Sony. They've announced they're to close their TV and PC businesses with the loss of around 5,000 jobs. This as the company reports its results for last year. The Nikkei has just closed in Japan, so no stock market reaction for now. We'll just have a look at those Asian markets, though. Despite the rise in the value of the yen, we've just seen the Nikkei tumble into negative territory just at the end of trading there in Japan. Over in Hong Kong, the Hang Seng trading slightly in the green. Mainland Chinese shares still closed. The Kospi in Seoul up almost 1%. And over in Australia, shares up over 1%. This after the country reported a surprise trade surplus for December. There had been fears that the exports to China were going to slow down. That didn't happen, though, keeping the Australian shares in the green.
Now we've got a story about Google for you now. It's reached a settlement with EU regulators to avoid billions of dollars in fines.
Yeah, the search engine says it's going to significantly change the way it displays results for European users. This brings to an end a 3-year investigation from EU regulators into how Google favours its own products in search results. The agreement will spare Google potential fines of up to €5 billion. The EU says it secured far-reaching concessions from the internet giant.
In practice, this means that when Google promotes one of its own specialized search services, there will be 3 rival services also displayed prominently on the page in a way that is clearly visible to users.
Take a look now at some of the day's companies' news, and we'll start with Disney, that's reported a record profit of $1.84 billion for the 3 months to the end of December, up a third on the same period last year. Its success is largely down to the animated film Frozen, which took in $865 million at the box office. That's even surpassed The Lion King as Disney's highest grossing animated film. A happy turnaround for Disney. They had reported losses of $190 million over The Lone Ranger last summer. New York's banking regulator has demanded documents from 12 banks as part of an inquiry into the manipulation of the foreign exchange market. Goldman Sachs, Deutsche Bank, Barclays and RBS are among the lenders affected. Authorities in the US, Britain, Switzerland and Hong Kong, among others, are investigating the sector over suspicions traders may have used chat rooms to share information about their trades. And the British car maker Aston Martin has recalled more than 17,000 cars over a fault with the accelerator pedals. The problem potentially affects around 75% of vehicles built by the firm since 2008. Although the company says it's had no reports of any problems, it issued the recall after it emerged a Chinese supplier had used substandard plastic when making the pedal.
And finally, producer Kemi is very pleased about this because she gets to see pictures of David Beckham.
Yes, she should be. David Beckham has announced he's going to revive a defunct football team in Miami. British football, soccer, I suppose you'd
Yeah.
prefer, rather than American football. That would be quite a departure. The Miami Fusion Club folded more than a decade ago after failing to attract enough spectators in a city, of course, which basketball is the dominant sport. Beckham's already in discussions with the local authorities to lease county-owned land for a new stadium. He says he wants to make it a Major League People's Club, but he'll need all the strength of brand Beckham to make it work. He's working with two partners, the TV producer who created American Idol, Simon Fuller, and the billionaire Marcelo Clore, who founded the world's largest wireless distributor based in Miami, Brightstar Corporation. He's also got the backing of LeBron James, the NBA player, so we'll see if we'll be able to make a success of it.
She's happy now. Thank you. Stephen Carroll keeping the producer happy this morning. Going to have a look at what's grabbing the headlines here in France. Flo's